and it got a little bit out of hand. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mitzi, aka the Loopy Scientist, and in today's video we are going to be doing a pattern roundup. So this week's video was actually supposed to be a vlog of everything that I made in the past week. However, I didn't make very much in the past week because I got sick. So instead, what we're going to do is take you through my top 20 favorite crochet market makes. I actually didn't mean for this list to be this long, but whenever I was looking at all of the patterns that I like to make for markets, it just kind of got away from me and it got a little bit out of hand. So now there are 20 patterns that I want to show you, and we kind of got to get through this video decently quickly because this video is actually supposed to be out tomorrow. I really doubt that it will be. I'll tell you what the pattern is, how long each one of them took me, and where you can find it, and also how much I price it for at my markets. Also, a lot of these patterns are actually free patterns on Instagram. No matter what, I will have the patterns linked down below and the creators linked down below as well. For most of the patterns, I actually now have been using Premier Parfait Plush or Sweet Snuggles Light. It's mostly Premier Parfait Plush now, but there is still some Sweet Snuggles Light or Chenille Home Slim in there, depending on what I have available. And then there are also a couple of patterns that I make in smaller yarns. So for everything that I make, I will also indicate the yarn that I use for the price that I mark it at. I apologize if I still sound a little bit sick. I am hoping that I sound a little bit better now because I sounded really stuffy and congested earlier in the weekend, which is why I didn't film this. But now we are feeling better, and let's go ahead and jump right in to the first pattern. So the first pattern on my list is a mini octopus pattern. This is by the Whimsical Goblin. So this is actually a free pattern over on their Instagram. It's a little bit different from the pattern that I see going around a lot for market makes, which I think is all from Jade's pattern. I think that pattern is great. I have made it before, but I like the ruffles on this one. I think that they're really cute. For me, it's a little bit easier to work up, and I think it takes a little bit less yarn, in my opinion, than the one from all from Jade. I also put embroidered eyes on this one so I can have a baby safe product, and it takes me such little time to make that it doesn't actually add very much time to the amount of time that it takes me to make this. It typically takes me about 15 minutes to make this, which is really quick. If you're a faster crocheter than I am, I would consider myself a pretty slow crocheter. If you're faster than I am, this might actually take you even less time. But even with my slow crocheting, this takes me about 15 minutes, and I would say the eyes maybe take me about 5 or so. And I've gotten pretty quick at making these eyes now because I've made this pattern so many times. I have a bag of them basically. Nope, that's not the... I have basically a bunch of colors of them, and it doesn't take me any time at all to make these at all. I price these at $6 at my market, and then I also have them on those little like clear stands that have different levels, and I usually use one row and put these octopi on there. And yeah, I think that they're really great patterns. I make these in Premier Parfait Plush. I sell these for $6. And like I said, I have a pretty wide array of colors of them. So I really like this pattern, and I would highly recommend the Whimsical Goblin over on Instagram, and it's free. The second pattern that I want to talk about is a gummy bear pattern. It's a gummy bear pattern by, oh my goodness, I don't have it written down. I am so sorry. This is the only one that I just put gummy bears by blank. I'm so sorry. I will put the creator on the screen and down below, but this is also a free Instagram pattern. As you can see, it has a price tag on here. If y'all have any recommendations for price tags for smaller plushes, let me know, because I think that these guys are too big. But anyways, so these take me about 15 to 20 minutes to make, probably a little bit less now actually, because I've made so many of them. It is a free pattern on Instagram. And if they're sold alone like this guy is, it's I price them for $7, but then I also put them on keychains. On keychains, I charge $8 for them. I actually really love this pattern because it doesn't have eyes, so if I'm ever looking to make something quick that doesn't actually require any safety eyes, this is my go-to pattern. Okay, the third pattern I want to talk about is actually a newer pattern to me, but I've made what feels like 100 of them now, and this is the little dumpling cat by Stitch and Snuggle Crochet. I love this pattern, you guys. I know that like loaf cats and those like little mini loaf cats are really popular, And while I do enjoy making the little mini loaf cats for keychains by My Universe 64, I think is the name of that designer, I really do still like making those, and I actually make those for keychains. This little dumpling cat has stolen my heart. They are so cute and so squishy and such a fun small pattern. And as you can see here, I also embroider the eyes on these to give a baby safe option. They just sit so well, like you can just look at how cute that is. And I love the way that the tail looks, and it's just such an easy, fun pattern. And I've really fallen in love with making these. This is another pattern that I can just make over and over again, and since I embroider the eyes, it doesn't need eyes, and it doesn't even really need stuffing until basically the end. So these are those patterns that I can just sit and make over and over again and not really need any stuffing until the end. So if I ever don't want to, like if I want to take anything to the living room and don't want to have to take all of my stuff with me, I just take some yarn, take a hook, and just make these, and that's it. These take me about 30 minutes. I would say this is a free pattern on Instagram, and I charge $9 for each of these little cats. I was worried that this was going to take me 500 years, but it looks like we're making good progress. Hi friends, Editing Loopy here. So as I was editing this video, I realized I completely missed a pattern, and that is this pocket frog by Lecromi. It's a free pattern on Instagram. I think this is a pretty popular market make, but I have a bunch of colors of this, and it's kind of the same situation as the octopus, that I just make a lot of the same color, and I sell these for $9, and I make them in Premier Parfait Plush or Sweet Snuggles Light. This one's in Sweet Snuggles Light in the lilac color, and I really enjoy making it. Great pattern, overall recommend, free on Instagram. Okay, back to the video. Okay, the fifth pattern on the list is, these are whips, so I apologize for all the loose ends. I need to actually weave these in, but it's these flower bag charms by, I think it's Keila's Crochet, maybe it's Keila's Crochet, I'm not sure. I'll link them down below. But these take me, I would say probably like 15 minutes, maybe even less, and you can make them in a variety of colors. I have made like sunflowers, I've made daisies, and then these are like little pink and purple ones. The pattern is just for the flower itself, but all I do is just attach a chain to the back of them, and I make them little bag charms. I think that they are too big, in my opinion, for keychains, so that's why I made these little hangers for them, and I think that they look so cute on purses. Like you could just loop them around the strap or backpacks or anything like that. I really enjoy making this pattern. Very quick make, takes me about 15 minutes, free on Instagram, and I make these in Premier Parfait Plush. I sell them for $8. Bag charms, wonderful pattern. I don't think that I mentioned these cats I actually make in Just Chenille yarn. Just Chenille I actually get from the Dollar Tree, so it's $1.25 a skein for 50 grams, and honestly I don't think that I've actually finished a single skein making these dumpling cats. So you can get a ton of little dumpling cats out of those skeins. Number 6 is actually a set of patterns, but I have been making a lot of keychains recently, and that's because I actually started selling my stuff over at a local coffee shop, and I have a little display that has keychains on it, and then I also sell some turtles there. The keychains have been doing very well at this place, so I am actually in the process of making more keychains, and that's also why I don't have any on hand, because usually whenever I get done with the keychains I just go and drop them off because it's close by. So I typically sell these bag charms there as well, but I have been making just keychains in general for this place. Have decided that I think I'm gonna stick to most of my keychains being the Critterlings by Pawgy's Place. If you don't know Pawgy's Place by now, they basically specialize in like really small market makes. So they have a couple different categories of patterns that they typically come out with, but one of them is Critterlings, which are basically these like tiny little market makes. They're anywhere from like 8 to 10 rounds probably, and they are so small, and she's got a ton of them. So I actually bought, these are the pandas. This panda needs ears, and then this is sticking out so I can attach the keychain, but they're so tiny, and this is a goblin that I made from that same pattern. So you can see that they're just really tiny little things, and I put keychains on these. These are both made in Premier Parfait Chunky. I actually recently got a big order. If you haven't seen that video, I would go back and watch it, but I recently got a big order of Premier yarns, and I got a bunch of Parfait Chunky specifically for this purpose, to make keychains, because I think that they come out the perfect size. The Critterlings are some of my favorite. This is a panda and a goblin that I have from them. I also have made them in Premier Parfait Plush. This is the three-eyed alien of the Critterlings patterns. Although I do think that this is slightly too big in my opinion for a keychain, so I actually sell the ones in Parfait Plush as standalones. She's got two different types of like market make patterns. The Critterlings, which are these tiny little things, and then the little critters, which are these. So this is a little critter panda and this is a Critterling panda. They're both made in about the same size yarn. This is Premier Parfait Chunky, and then this one is a velvet yarn. I think it's Babe Bernat Velvet. And you can see the size difference between them. Like the Critterlings are just so tiny, and then the little critters are also really small and cute. Either making the little critters in velvet yarn or the Critterlings in a bigger yarn like Parfait Plush or Sweet Snuggles Light, they come out to be about the same size. So I sell these standalone for $10, and then the Critterlings I just attach a keychain and I sell them for $8. Just in general, I really love Pawgy's Place, Critterlings, little critters, everything, and Kelly is a wonderful person. There is a super starter pack available for the little Critterlings, which is what I actually ended up getting, and it has 30 patterns in it, and so most of my keychains in general kind of come from her patterns. Moving on, number 7 is a really fun one. So these are the Bob Blobs by Little Lemon Stitches. So Bob Blobs are basically just these chunky little guys that are really silly. Little Lemon Stitches has a bunch of mods for these Bob Blobs. This is just a generic one, just a regular Bob Blob with no modifications. But this is a YouTube tutorial and they take me about 20 minutes to make, and it's just a squishy little guy, and she usually has like really silly faces on them. So all of my Bob Blobs have little tongues sticking out, but you can give them, you know, like just silly little faces, or she's got odds like mods for like meatball Bob Blobs, or she even ran like a challenge for like the most creative Bob Blobs. If you haven't checked out Little Lemon Stitches, I would highly recommend her channel. She's just super silly and I love her, and she was actually one of my first crochet friends. So these are the Bob Blobs. They are super quick, take about 20 minutes, just a little blob, and you can give it a silly little expression, a sweet little expression, whatever you want. And I sell these for $10 and I make them in Premier Parfait Plush or Sweet Snuggles Light. Okay, so number 8, I actually don't have any of physically because I have sold all of the ones that I have made, but in general it is the Goblin Bean Mods by Extra Knotty. So Extra Knotty is a dear friend of mine. She's one of my crochet friends over on Instagram. Her name is Keila. She has basically this base pattern called a Goblin Bean, which is this cute little goblin, basically. She makes most of her stuff using acrylic yarn, and they're like really tiny, even in plush yarn, honestly. And she has come out with different mods to the Goblin Bean. So she's come out with like a Yeti, or a Cthulhu, or a Mothman. I've tested a variety of different of the mods for her. And I think that they're all really adorable, and they've all sold at my markets. Just in general, they are really fun, quick patterns, and you basically just use the base mod, the base pattern of the Goblin Bean, and you just modify it to whatever the other mods are, and they're very quick. They take me, I would say, 30 to 45 minutes depending on the mod. There is some sewing involved with some of them. All of the patterns are on Etsy, both the base mod or the base pattern and all of the mods. And I usually sell them for about $12. And I used to make those in Posh. Now I have Premier Parfait Chunky and a bunch of Premier Parfait Plush, so I'll probably make more of those, especially like the Yeti Bean mod or the Mothman mod. Like I want to make those for Halloween time. I will definitely be making more of those. and I will have to figure out pricing with the different yarns, but at least whenever I made them in Big Twist Posh, I would charge $12 for them, and I've sold all of them. Okay, the next pattern is a pattern that I think is pretty well loved, but this is the Axolotl by Crochet Grove. I actually only have 2 of these left. I have this green one and a yellow one, so I guess those are the colors that people like the least. This pattern's available on Etsy. It takes me about 45 minutes to make these guys, and I sell them for $12, and I've made them in the past in Big Twist Posh or some sort of like just chenille. I think all of the ones that I've made have been in Big Twist Posh with Premier Perfect Chunky as the accent colors. So highly recommend this pattern. It's super quick. I think it's no-sew. Yeah, it's no-sew. And once you get the hang of it, like, you just kind of go with it, and it takes no time at all. 45 minutes, and I sell these for $12. Pattern number 10. The 10th pattern on this list is Stella the Mini Stackable Frog by Woodland Wool Crochet. If you have watched any of my other vlogs recently, you'll know that I have made a bunch of these frogs because this has become one of my favorite patterns, I think, to just whip up on a whim, because it's such a quick pattern and they come out so cute, and they're also stackable. I don't have any right in front of me to stack on top, but these are nice to display at markets as well, because then you can just basically stack a couple of them together and it makes a nice little display. I've made a pyramid with them in the past. I think you can also give them like silly little faces, like you can give them like little frowns. I have chosen for the moment to keep mine faceless, I guess, mouthless, but expressionless. But I think that they could have really cute little, I think that they could have really cute faces. These take me about 30 minutes or so. This is a free pattern on Instagram, Woodland Wool Crochet, and they also have a bigger version of this, which I think is Stanley the Stackable Frog. I've not made Stanley, and I've been meaning to, but Stella the Stackable Frog I sell for $12, and I usually make it in Premier Parfait Plush or Sweet Snuggles Light. Alright, we're halfway through, so the 11th pattern on this list is We Be the Alien by Meg Makes Crochet. So this alien, I actually started making for a vlog where I did like a random wheel chooses my crochet project. I think it was a couple months ago, and I really enjoyed making this during the process. So this probably takes me, I have written down 30 minutes. It takes me anywhere from 35 to 40 minutes, just depending on the day and the yarn. And the pattern I found, I think I bought it on Ko-fi, but I think it's available both on Ko-fi and on Etsy. And I sell them for $15 in Premier Parfait Plush or Sweet Snuggles Light. And I think that they come out to be a pretty good size. Like, this is it compared to the Axolotl in Posh, and I think it's a pretty good size pattern, and it's really squishy. Very quick workup. Highly recommend. Okay, the next pattern on this list is actually a pattern that I tested for my friend Tori over at the Whimsical Goblin. Again, they made 2 appearances in this video. So this is the Opossum pattern by the Whimsical Goblin. This guy took me about 40 minutes to make. I've made a few of them this time, so this is an average of how long it takes me. It's a free pattern on Instagram. I price it for $15, and I make it in Premier Parfait Plush or Sweet Snuggles Light. If you can't tell, there's a trend here. Most of my stuff is made in Premier Parfait Plush or Sweet Snuggles Light, except for the keychains, which are now being made in Parfait Chunky. But anyways, so I really like displaying 2 of these on the shelf, one of them just facing up and one of them actually like this. And this actually garners a lot of attention because people are like, why is your plushie upside down? And I'm like, he's dead, he's playing Possum. So it's just a fun little thing to have at the table, because some people will come and like try to fix it, and I'm like, no, don't worry, he's playing Possum. And so yeah, it's a really fun workup, and I think it's no-sew. Yep, it's a no-sew pattern, and very good size. This is it next to the alien, so I sell them for the same amount, and yeah, they're about the same size. So free on Instagram. There you go. All right, the 13th pattern on this list. So the next pattern on this list is Trunk the Turtle by a bunch of different people. So I will just link the pattern down below because it's a free pattern on Instagram, but it's by like 4 different people. I guess they like collab to design this pattern, but it's Trunk the Turtle. If you haven't seen this pattern yet, it's just so fun. It's basically this little turtle. This is made in Big Twist Posh for both the turtle and the shell. And it's got a little backpack on that you can actually take off. And behind that, it has a little booty. I know some people aren't big on butts on patterns, but I think that they're so cute. So it's got a little booty, so I actually like to tell people, like, you can take its little backpack off and it's got a butt under there. And they just find it hilarious. So yeah, he's got a little backpack on. For this pattern, it is free on Instagram. The only modification that I did was actually made the chain a little bit longer because it didn't fit my bobble stitches. But other than that, made the pattern as is, and I think he turns out so cute. And he sits really well too. A little front heavy because he's got a big belly, but you can also like kind of lay him on his butt a little bit like this. So it can go either way. I think you can probably like balance it a little bit on its butt and on its front. Yeah, really cute pattern. This is made in Posh, and I sell it for $15. All right, pattern number 14. We are just ripping through these guys. So pattern number 14 is this mini elephant by Nooks Hooks. And this is another pattern that I like to embroider eyes on. So it actually takes me a little bit longer because it takes me, because I embroider the eyes on these. But this is, this takes me about 45 minutes. And again, it's a free pattern on Instagram. And I sell these for $18. These guys are a little bit bigger, generally, than some of the other patterns that I have. Yeah, this guy's a little bit bigger than the $15 patterns that I have, and it takes me a little bit longer because of the trunk and the ears. So this is actually in Bernat Mystical, but I typically make it, I don't really like Bernat Blanket at all, I just really like Bernat Mystical, but I typically make it in Premier Parfait Plush or Sweet Snuggles Light. $18, and it sits really well, and I think that this is a great pattern for eye embroidery because then for babies, like, I don't know, I think elephants are just such a cute pattern for babies. The only thing that I always have to be careful of is to make sure that the ears are on correctly. Like even this one's a little bit wonky. This one's probably a row underneath because I guess I messed up which row I was doing the ears on. So, but that's just the uniqueness of crochet, right? So yeah, all around great pattern. Really love it. Highly recommend. Okay, pattern number 15. We are almost 75% of the way done. So pattern number 15 is this super cute octopus pattern by my friend Story for Me, Mariah, over on Instagram. She's on YouTube and on Instagram. If I had the time, I would make 500 of these because I love the arms on this pattern. These are the bobble stitch arms. There are 2 different variations of this. There are 2 different variations of the arms, but I always make the bobble stitch arms just because I think that the like suction cups on the arms look so good. I just really love the shape of this. I love the like realistic head shape. I love the like ruffles leading up to the arms. Just in general, I really enjoy making this pattern. This is Bubbles the Octopus by Story for Me. This pattern takes me about an hour and 15 minutes-ish to make, and that's with the bobble arms. I think if I didn't make the bobble arms and made the other arm variation, it wouldn't take me as long. It is actually an unreleased pattern, so I'm sorry that I'm talking it up so much. Maybe this will convince Mariah to release it at some point. I got access to it because I was testing it for her, and she sent it to me, I would say probably like 2 years ago now, but I have been using it to market prep, and I have a few of them now, and just in general, I really love this pattern. I think it's so fun, and it comes out so beautiful, especially in this color. I think I'm just obsessed with this hot pink color. I priced these at $20, and this is made in Premier Parfait Plush. Okay, 16. So for number 16, we're actually going above the $20 items now. So for these last 5 patterns, it is actually $25 and above. Everything that I've shown you so far has been pretty small crochet makes, $20 and under, and probably less than an hour. But the next patterns that I'm going to show you are a little bit bigger patterns, but I think that they're still worthwhile for markets because a lot of people seem to be interested in these patterns. Like they come up to them, sometimes they get sticker shock and then they walk away, but just in general, people really seem to gravitate towards these patterns. They're kind of like my bigger patterns on the table that people, they're kind of my eye catchers. So the first one off of this is this two-headed bunny. This is by either Toys Melina AU or Cozy Home Patterns AU. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm not super sure how much I recommend the pattern slash designer in general, mostly because I can't find them anywhere else. I can only find them on Etsy, and there are 2 different Etsy stores that sell the exact same pattern, and that's a bit strange to me. And to be honest, like I've gotten used to this pattern now, but I don't really love the way that it's written. I don't know if it was tested. I like this pattern and I like making this pattern, but I don't know how much I would recommend the pattern itself, if that makes sense. But it does come out with a really good finished product. This is a pretty quick workup, I would say. It takes me about an hour, maybe a little bit more than an hour after I've sewn the heads on, but it takes me, I wrote down that it takes me an hour, but I actually have never timed it, so could be a little bit more than that, unclear. This one is made with Premier Parfait Posh, or sorry, not Premier Parfait Posh, that doesn't exist. Oh, I think the other one sold. The one that I made in Premier Parfait Plush actually sold, but this one was made in Big Twist Posh. And I love the like division between the colors and then the little eye details. Overall, I really love the finished product of this. It's available on Etsy. I'll link it down below. I'll link the pattern that I bought down below, but just know that there's another Etsy shop that sells the same thing. And the owners of the shop's name is the same. So I don't know. A bit strange, but whatever. I'll link it down below anyways. And I sell these for $25. And then this next pattern is also a very popular pattern, and it is the Sleeping Dragon by Nooks Hooks. I finally made it, you guys, and I really understand the hype now. I made this in Premier Parfait Plush slash Sweet Snuggles Light. No, this is all Sweet Snuggles Light actually. This is the Sweet Snuggles Light in like the floral lavender thing or whatever, and then Sweet Snuggles Light in that yellow color, like a pastel yellow color. Look at how adorable this is. The way that this sits is just wonderful. The construction on this pattern is beautiful. You've probably heard 5 billion people say this, but I am here to tell you that the hype is real and this pattern is great. And the way that it's written is fantastic. It's a no-sew pattern if you attach the wings in the way that is written in the pattern. There's also an option to just sew the wings on. I attach them with the way that it's written in the pattern, and it took me about a little over 2 hours to make. I wrote a little over 2 hours because at some point I messed up. I read the pattern wrong and I had to frog back like 4 rows. Yeah, it's available over on Nooks Hooks Etsy shop, and I haven't officially priced it yet, but I input all of the information into my little pricing calculator, and it says that it should be $39, so I will probably price it at $40 and see how it sells. I think that it's a wonderful size and just a really enjoyable pattern to make, and it doesn't require any safety eyes. So this is another one of those patterns that really all I need is yarn, hook, and stuffing. Just can take my yarn, my hook, and my stuffing and crochet away. So this next pattern is actually a bit of a pattern pack, I believe. I got this because I tested the pattern for her, so I haven't actually looked on Etsy to see how it's sold, but I'm pretty sure it comes with all of the different variations of this. But it's a Dress Up Goose by Wonder Crochet, and I actually have 2 of them. Oh no! I think I might have to pick them up one at a time, but this is the cowboy version. And then this is the rain hat and rain boots option. So she actually recently came out with, I think, 8 different outfits for this. I have to make the rest of the outfits. This pattern is so fun to make, and it's no sew, which is fantastic. You don't have to sew on the beak, you don't have to sew on these legs, you don't have to sew on the wings. They're all crocheted into the bird. And I like the shaping on this because it sits pretty well. I actually weighted this one. I made this one more recently. This is the one that I actually tested, and then this is the one that I made more recently. And I weighted it, and it sits even better with the weighted pellets at the bottom. I think this bottom structure is really good for the weighted pellets. I want to have, I think, multiple options of these, and I even saw that she posted this like little closet on Instagram that has all of the outfits in it, and how cute would it be to have a little like dress your own goose thing at a market? Wouldn't that just be adorable? So I think that's something that I want to try. Especially with all of the different outfits that she has now. This pattern takes me about 2.5 hours. I think that the goose itself, this time around, the first time around, the goose itself took me about 2.5 hours. This time around, the goose took me about 2 hours to make. The clothes take about 30 minutes, I would say, maybe 15 to 30 minutes, depending on what the outfit is. This rain hat definitely took less time than the cowboy hat did. And then the bandana took less time than the rain boots. Great pattern. Really love the way that Wonder Crochet creates her patterns. I really love the way that she designs everything and shapes it. You can find the pattern on Etsy, or I believe that she has her patterns up on her website as well. This is actually priced at $50, but I recalculated this after I made the second one. I think I might need to increase the price to about $55 or so. The weighted ones probably should be closer to $60, but this one was probably, even with the time that it took me with the outfit, I would say I should probably price it closer to $55. But right now this one's priced at $50, and I would hate to make this one more expensive, especially if I have like a whole like dress up situation. I don't want to have to make people choose between the goose too, but I don't know. Either way, right now they're priced at $50. This gets a lot of attention at markets, especially this cowboy one got a ton of attention at my last market. I actually didn't have this one, so I just had the other outfit there, but people really love this cowboy one. It got a lot of attention, but again, it's the sticker shock of having to pay $50 for a plushie, which I know shouldn't influence my pricing, but it does make me hesitant to increase the price on this. But either way, great pattern, highly recommend. Okay, and my last 2 patterns on this list are actually by the same person. So the first one of these is Pudge the Mini Baby Dragon by the Squishy Witch. This was a pattern test that I did last year. I actually made this one in Big Twist Baby Bear, which is why it's so little. Like even compared to this guy in Posh, it's so small. I did not calculate how long it took me to make this. It did take me quite a while to sew on these wings, but I mean, they're pretty secure on here now, so I think taking that time was kind of needed. I also had to, I would not say that this is a low sew pattern at all. You have to sew on the wings, you have to sew on the horns, both like this horn and the one in the middle, and you have to sew on the ears. So the only thing that you crochet in, you basically crochet the legs and then crochet in the arms, I think. I crocheted them in. I don't think that these were sewn in. But yeah, I tested this pattern for the Squishy Witch. Great pattern overall. It is a small pattern, but it did take me quite a while, especially because I had to sew all of the features on. And also these are hand-painted eyes. So I priced this one at $60. It has not sold, but it has gotten a lot of attention at markets. And again, I think it's a sticker shock of seeing this. Oh, another thing that you sew on is actually the tail. So basically everything is sewn on. But yeah, it took me a while to sew everything on, and I think that it was 100% worth it, and this pattern is 100% worth it. It's just, this is one of my higher priced items, so I usually have it kind of like towards somewhere that people can see, like kind of higher up towards the front, and people do really gravitate towards this pattern. I think if I had it maybe in a little bit bigger sized yarn, people would not be as hesitant at the $60 price tag, but it took me the same amount of time even if it's in a small yarn. So for now, I'm going to keep the price at the price that it's at now. We'll see how it goes at the next few events. And again, because these are hand painted eyes, I really just don't want to decrease the price because I need to be able to pay for the time and materials that it took me to make this. And the last pattern on our list is another pattern by the Squishy Witch, and it is this mini orc pattern. So it's kind of from the same series as the mini baby dragon, but this is an orc by the Squishy Witch. And again, this pattern, fantastic person. And this one, I again did not time myself while making it because I made this before I actually started the business. But I would say it probably took me 2.5-ish hours. I would say a decent amount of that time was actually this hair, because this hair did take me quite a bit of time. I know it's just chaining and going back down the chain, but then you have to repeat that a billion times. And these eyes were actually hand painted by Shauna, or the Squishy Witch, specifically for this pattern test, because I was testing this pattern for her. She actually painted these eyes for me and sent them to me. It's a little bit bigger than Pudge, the baby dragon, and also a little bit pudgier, like he's got a little bit more of a belly under this loincloth here, and he's also got like a little belly button. He's got a bunch of hair, just so cute. In general, I really love this pattern. Both of these patterns are available on Ko-fi, and this guy is also $60. And again, it's one of those patterns that actually receives a lot of attention, but people walk away after they see the price. Also made in baby bear, which is why he's small as well. So I think if I had made him in a bigger yarn, people wouldn't be as hesitant about the big price tag. But again, it took me the same amount of time whether I had made him in a big yarn or a small yarn. So I'm going to keep the price the same for at least a little while longer and see if he sells. But I am obsessed with this pattern. I love this orc. And I love his little teeth. I love the hair and how we had to make like the little headband situation. It's just all around such a well thought out pattern, and it came out really cute. And I love the size of it, and I'm curious to see how it turns out if I make it in something like Parfait Plush in the future. Alright guys, that is everything. Those are basically my top 20 market makes. I really love making all of these patterns. I don't think that this list is exhaustive at all, but it's what I could come up with for the time being with my sick brain. Overall, just know I really love all of these patterns, and I can make 100 of these, or most of them I sell for under $20, and a lot of them were free patterns on either Instagram or YouTube. Stick around if you want to see more videos like this. I actually want to do a series where I do kind of a pattern roundup based on themes. So for example, this one is market makes, but I was kind of thinking of doing something like, I don't know, like sea creatures or like science-based patterns or something, but then I actually test them to make sure that I actually like making the patterns, and then like recommending them to you, and kind of doing the same thing that I did here, which is telling you how long they take, and also how much I would price them at a market. So if you are interested in seeing that, please stick around, like this video, subscribe, leave me a comment down below of what your favorite market pattern is, and maybe I'll try it in a future video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!